It was at this moment that he knew.
He bucked up. Welcome. You're listening to Bucked Up with Sam Buck.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. 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 Now you have fucked up.
Welcome to the Bucked Up Podcast. I have my guest here with me well, he's not here with me. He's over Zoom. Juan Juan from, you said you're in Amsterdam right now?
Yes, I'm in Amsterdam right now. Yeah.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived here for 15 years or something. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Where are you originally from?
I'm from a very small village, which nobody knows, and from an American's perspective, you can say it's really in the suburbs of Amsterdam. From a Dutch perspective, it's far away from Amsterdam because we're used to small distances. You're used to big distances, so it's like 45 minutes drive from Amsterdam.
Oh yeah, that's not bad at all for me. I live an hour outside of Boston in Massachusetts, and I drive to Boston or Rhode Island an hour every single day just to do stand up. So like the if it's over 3 hours, I'm like, all right, that's a far ways.
But you call the outskirts of Boston, or you call it the suburbs of Boston?
Well, I live in the middle of nowhere right now. It's
oh, really?
Yeah, a small town called Lunenburg, but it's about an hour outside of Boston. But it's funny. Oh no, sorry, what were you saying?
I'm moving out. I'm moving out of the city because
where are you moving to?
I'm moving to a place we like to call America, which sounds a bit like America, but then I like to make it bigger than it is. But it's a new town in a new province. There's it's also very close to Amsterdam. It's like also 45 minutes or so. But it's all the Dutch. They made a new province. They just won land from the sea, and then they started building new cities. So it's a sort of new city, and we decided to move there because it's just so much more space and so much more possibilities. Like I almost feel like a settler, like the old European going somewhere else to find some new freedom. It's really cool.
Is that and when's like a new province sounds like a big deal? Like that doesn't really happen in America. Is it?
It's like it's more like a new state.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not something that would happen. That's crazy that they're doing that. Was that a big deal? Was that like? Is it liked over there?
It's I don't know if it's it has a stigma, like because it used to be just made for farmers, and then at a certain point, a lot of people from Amsterdam moved there because they wanted a garden, and all those small houses in Amsterdam, they only had little balconies or didn't have anything. So it's mainly occupied by like former Amsterdam people, like the real Amsterdam inhabitants, like the originals. So if you want to find real original Amsterdam people, you have to go to this new province, this new state. I used to at the high school, I used to learn that Holland had 11 states, and now they made the 12th. So now we have 12 provinces. Yeah. It's crazy.
Does that? I bet a lot of that fucks up a lot of you don't have a flag with the states on it, but that messes up a lot. Like you have to teach that. You have to change all the history books. You have to.
Yeah, you have to change these. Yeah. We don't have a flag with all that stars. We don't have.
Yeah, no.
Although you can, it's not that everybody has to sew an extra star on their flag, but
well, that's the we have Puerto Rico as a province, but they want it to be a state.
True, yeah.
It's not a state. They don't
I always
get
wondered what the status was.
Yeah, so it's a province, so they don't get voting rights. Actually, they it's like the no taxation without representation. They're not taxed at all, but they don't get voting rights, and so that's why they're not considered a state.
But they are represented by.
Yeah, they are represented by the American government, but not a state, which is, it's so funny because they don't really teach that in school. Like I learned that on the internet, like
What do they teach? Puerto Rico is.
They don't really talk about it. I mean, I don't know about, especially now with kids, especially after the hurricanes that ruined Puerto Rico, and then they didn't get a lot of funding because they're not taxed. So they don't, any taxes that any funding they would get would be from other places. But hopefully they teach about it now, because it's really a messed up situation that they're in.
Like what? Well, you imagine they find oil in Puerto Rico.
Oh, it would be a state immediately. Exactly. Everyone would move there. But yeah, a lot of people who are in tax trouble go there to get out of having to pay taxes. Yeah, because they don't have to there. Well, when I first, you said that you had listened to an episode with a rapper, and I mostly listen to rap. That's my main genre of music, but I do listen to a little bit of indie rock and folk. And when I found you, when I found your song "Life Is Short," you are an amazing singer, songwriter, artist, musician.
Thanks.
I was like, oh, this guy's like really good. And then when I found out you weren't American, because you have such like an American sound, it really blew me away. That's kind of why I wanted to get you on the podcast and talk to you.
And now you're amazed that I have this accent.
No,
I was thinking about it too, like because I have to do this interview in a language which is not my own. It's not. I'm not obviously not a native speaker. And then I was thinking, okay, but why? Like, I do feel myself when I talk in English with an accent, but when I sing, I try to not have an accent.
Yeah, and you don't at all.
Well, thanks, but yeah, and I consider that as a compliment, and that made me wonder. Like, that's a bit strange. Like, am I impersonating somebody? Because there are also examples of this is sometimes the fact that we are brought up with British English sometimes pops up. So examples. An example of this is that you have this Icelandic singer. Do you know her? Mm-hmm. There are more people from other parts than America that use their accent in their advantage. So it's to give it some sort of character. But mostly a lot of people from that are not from the States, they try to sound as much as an American as they can, and that's sometimes I don't know if I agree, actually. So maybe I'm gonna make an album next time, and I'm gonna really let my accent shine through and not try to be sound American.
Did you do that on purpose? Like, were you writing in English first, or what made you want to?
It's just a thing that if you want to make music like this, or this kind of music, then you sort of have to do it in English. That's also like, it's like the market for Dutch Dutch songs is really, I mean, it's really small. Not that I intended to to focus on the commercial side of the whole thing. But yeah, it's just a thing, right? If you want to make this music, it's sort of the vocabulary that accompanies it. So yeah.
Is there not as much of that in Dutch? There's not that much folk indie singer songwriter music. Is that
like Dutch, like sung in Dutch? No, not a lot. And also it always sounds a bit strange. Like it's also it also sounds less professional if you do it. It really, I mean, if it sounds as if it comes from America, then it sounds like it. Everything from far is better, right? That's the sort of statement. Yeah. Maybe that's more of a Dutch statement. Like maybe in America you think everything from America is the best, which I can sometimes agree, but a lot of times some things that come from far are good. Even a lot of Dutch artists that don't want to be seen as Dutch. They want to be seen as Americans, because if they show their music to a newspaper or a blog, and this blog or newspaper Dutch, if they know that they're Dutch, then immediately their esteem drops. So I think they just get better reviews if they think that you're from the States. That's
Did you
crazy.
grow up with American music?
Yeah, I mean the Marshall Plan really worked. It's there's so much American influence in Holland. I mean, if you watch the television,
I don't know the Marshall Plan actually. What's that?
Well, the Marshall Plan was after the Second World War. A lot of these European countries, they got a lot of financial aid, and also a lot of cultural influences. They fluxed in. Do you say it like this? To make sure that these European countries did not get under the influence of Russia. So America was really sort of pushing their culture onto Europe, and that's why I think this guy was called Marshall, and they called the Marshall Plan. So so a lot of Europe was really influenced by America. I mean, did you ever go to Holland?
I've never been to Holland. I've been to different parts of Europe, but never Holland.
If you go to Holland and you watch television, you will be amazed. We've got like, I don't watch TV a lot anymore, but like all the shows, Judge Judy to Friends and whatever, like everything is here as well. So yeah.
So who did you grow up listening to musically? Who was the American artists?
Roy Orbison, Johnny Cash, but actually, the Bee Gees, my mother was a real Bee Gees fan. Chicago, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, so it was. And was it a push you to learn English early with so much influence in the culture?
Well, I think you start learning English when you're something like 8 or something, or 7 years old. But we also learned to speak German and French. It also has to do with the fact that Holland is a really small country. So and nobody speaks Dutch. So and we don't have any resources. So the only thing we can do is trade. And if you want to trade, you have to try to speak the language of the guy you want to please. So, so yeah, English now is like the world language. So they start really early with teaching us. Yeah.
I'm very jealous of, I feel like this is an American thing of not knowing any other language. I feel like that's a detriment. I feel like, and I've always felt like with music,
Yeah.
musically, it's very similar to learning another language, I feel like, and I am not able to do either. Do you think that helped your mind when you were picking up music, being able to have those different pathways in your mind already put in place of learning?
But I think I missed the part before as well. Can you?
No,
Can you
I was just talking about how I don't know any other languages, and I feel like that's to my detriment. And I feel like it was that. I mean, of course that's helpful, but do you think that is something that has helped you in life, knowing you said 4 languages?
Yeah, something like 4, but yeah, of course it helped. But you mean musically as well?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know, like learning music is kind of like learning a new language in a certain way, and it's I'm jealous of people whose minds work in that way.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's an overlap between people who are good at speaking other languages and also that you can say that they're also good at learning another instrument. I don't know if there's if you can say something like this, but as like if you think in another language, it even that even changes your thinking. Also because grammar, like if you like the grammar is there's a lot of difference between the grammar of my language, Dutch, and English. There's a big difference between the grammar of English and French, for example. So every time you construct a sentence, and sometimes you feel that I have trouble with making a correct one. Every time you construct a sentence, your brain works differently in a different language. So that opens certain pathways, certain doors, and I think it makes you creative. Also because when you can't express yourself one way, when you can't immediately directly translate one sentence that you have in your mind, you have to find another way to make yourself
Get to it.
make yourself clear. And so it I think it always makes you creative, and that of course helps with music. And if you I started singing Spanish as well, like in the at the end of Life is Short, I sing some Spanish sentences, and it's easy it's crazy to find that if you sing in another language, one that I'm not really familiar with. I mean, I can understand Spanish okay, I can speak it okay, but if you start singing in this different language with different vowels and different sounds, suddenly there's a whole world that opens up, and you can sort of sound like you, but also not like you, and which is fascinating and creatively very cool. Actually, I was amazed by some things. I was amazed by myself. I'm not trying to brag, but sometimes I'm amazed. That's what you try to accomplish as a creative person. Sometimes that you amaze yourself, right? That you make something that's bigger than what you thought you could make. So sometimes when singing in Spanish, I'm amazed by what comes out. Sometimes there's a few songs that are almost like flamenco, and I'm like, what? I never listened to flamenco. It's just something that accompanies the language or so. I don't know.
And it shows that, yeah, you having this knowledge of the different languages unlocks musically you able to find these different styles and different things, these different styles and different sounds, different patterns, being able to reach new audiences. And that's what I really liked about your music.
Yeah, well, cool. It's also, I mean, it's very cool that you like it so much. And
when did you start playing?
When I started drumming when I was, I think I was like 6 or something. Actually, I was drumming in the marching band, and not the cool marching bands you have in the state, but like the like the Dutch village marching bands it's a bit dull. And
what is that like? What's a Dutch village marching band like?
I don't know, man. It's hard to explain. It's like I think we were drumming German marchers and like this sort of militaristic things. Yeah, crazy costumes as well. But you should look it up. It's like it's not like it's nothing compared to what you're doing there. That's what like the marching bands there I really like, and also the quality. Here it's just it's like you just pick yeah.
It's not as technical.
No, it's just like it's just a village, and there's one sort of there's one thing that they could. There's one thing that they can do in their pastime, and then they gather and they it's such an amateur level. it's so but it's very very funny to see. But I started there, and then I started. My father bought me a real drum kit, and then I started playing guitar when I was like 13 or something. No, maybe older, 15, I guess. So and from then on, I started learning new instruments.
When you record your music, do you outsource it or do you play everything?
No, I sort of this time, because I made stuff before, but this time I gathered a group, a friend who's a real good guitarist, a guy who plays bass very very well, and also was the recording engineer. And then I needed a drummer, and of course, being a drummer or ex-drummer, I was very picky on it. And I know that there's one thing drummers really like to do is do too much. Like they overstate themselves, so they make fills all the time, and so they needed a drummer who had a certain groove, but also would play the minimum. And I was thinking about who I could ask, and then suddenly I thought, I'm just gonna ask my wife, my girlfriend, to play the drums, because I know she has great rhythm. She never played the drums before, but I knew she had great rhythm. So I started teaching drums. And she's the one who plays drums on the whole album. So
and she had never played drums before. Was she musical? Was she musically inclined at all?
Not really. She used to play bass, but it was like for 1 year or something. And she had a famous story. She had a famous story that she once went to. She once was invited by a band, and she could play bass in this band, but the amp was broken, and then she just did as if she was playing the bass. and they just sort of let her stay there, because they thought it was too much of too painful to just send her home or something. So
with the broken amp.
Yeah, with a broken amp. So that was her musical experience before playing the drum in this on this album.
Was she So had you been playing drums, or were you like, I'm gonna get back into this and teach her?
No, it's like I've been playing drums. Like if you once knew it, it's like riding a bike, right? I mean,
Yeah.
of course I forgot. Of course I wasn't as fast as I was before, but I could still teach you the basics. I mean, if you listen to the album or to this song in particular, it's I mean, it's not rocket science. It's just straight on, but it has a certain feel, and then I knew she had this feel. So that was yeah, it all worked out.
What you've been playing music your whole life. What made you want to? I mean, when Life is Short, that was your first song that I had seen that I could find on like Apple Music or something. What made you start pushing for, the marketing and putting yourself out there?
That's a whole thing. Actually I was always sort of scared to put something out into the world, because I started music pretty late, and then I've been making stuff for a long time, but I didn't really so many different things. I made techno music. I made sort of Slavic music with an accordion, which I couldn't really play. But then I recorded my left hand first and then my right hand afterwards. So, but it sounded nice. And then I made sort of music that was a bit inspired by the band called War on Drugs. Stuff like that.
I'm wearing a Kurt Vile t-shirt right now.
Oh, really? That explains why. That explains why you like the song as well. It has a sort of Kurt Vile vibe, right?
Literally, that's so crazy that you say that, because that's so funny. Yeah, I love the War on Drugs. I love Kurt Vile.
Yeah, they're both very cool. Yeah, but so I made a lot of different things, and but I always felt I wasn't there yet. I always felt that I needed something, and I just needed to grow more. And everybody was telling me you should put out your stuff, and it's if I say it's really nice, and if I say it's really nice, I mean, for who are you doing this? You're doing this for an audience, right? And I'm like, no, I'm doing this for myself. I'm mainly for myself. I want to convince myself that I can do this, and I want to associate myself with something cool. Yeah, and so I just kept on working on a sound, and on myself, and on getting better, and now I finally think I sort of arrived somewhere that is worth putting out. And luckily, yeah.
No, so I was just saying, what made you settle on this sound? Because you have 3 singles out right now. You have Hop Hop, New York Time, and Life is Short, which are all great songs, but you have settled on kind of a certain sound. What made you said you did techno, you did the Slavic. What made you focus on this?
Well, actually, I made a road trip through the States with my wife
/ drummer,
and I was really / drummer. Yeah. She wasn't a drummer at that time, so we were really inspired by everything we saw there and everything we heard. And I was visiting a guy, a friend, Sergio Mendoza, and he's in a band. He was in Calexico, and he has Orquesta Mendoza, and he lives in Tucson. And this whole border region we really enjoyed, and so I was really inspired also by the Mexican influences there. And so coming back to Holland, I wasn't purposely trying to make music like this, but it just organically came out this way. And then in retrospect, looking to these songs, it occurred to me that my father really used to listen to stuff that is inspired by these kinds of things, and also if you listen to old Dutch or old Dutch songs with some sort of famous Dutch singers, they're also a bit inspired by this. There's a sort of country feel to it, and my songs some sort of have a country feel to it as well. I don't know how you classify it, or which genre label you can put on it, but there's an American influence and a little bit of a Latin American influence. So yeah, so in retrospect, I saw that I was actually that I was sort of playing my father's music. I made music that my father would like, probably, and I'm glad about it, man. It's I think a lot of times you end up doing exactly that. You're gonna make music with which you grew up. So you can't avoid it.
No, you can. I agree with that. I think about comedically. I'm a stand-up, and the humor that I have, my sense of humor, did come from my childhood and what I saw around me, and the humor that was around me. I now bring on stage. Had you ever been to America before? That trip that you made with your wife/drummer?
One time to New York. In those days, where flying to New York was still possible and very cheap.
Yeah, not anymore.
Everybody love everybody!
My producer lives in New York, so I'm able to go visit the city and drive up. It's about a 3-hour drive, so it's nice.
Pretty close, yeah. It's
exactly 3 hours. It's not too bad.
Not too bad, but if you drive 3 hours, you're from any place in Holland, you're out of the country.
When you were in
so small.
When you were in America, were you writing music and watching it here, or did you just come for a trip and then you left leaving inspired?
The latter, because I was also well, for one, the van was too small to bring a guitar, but it also I really like to go somewhere and just not play music, because I'm not a campfire guitar guy. I never play in front of other people, playing songs of other people or something. I don't get any enjoyment out of that. But so I just want to see stuff and feel stuff, and then when I return, then who knows what comes out. But I don't miss the guitar at any point now.
So you make music not for, like you said, not around campfires. Do you not like live shows either?
Well, the funny thing with this band is I played drums in other bands before, but the thing with this band is that we released all this music during COVID. So we sort of started recording, and I think we played like 2 live shows even before that was before we released anything. And I mean only like there were friends and family, stuff like that, right? And just it was just little bars. We were sort of our sound and whatever. So we never got the chance to play, actually, because we all started with this whole thing started up during COVID. So and everything, like in Holland, I don't know how the situation is in the States right now, but in Holland, the big venues are also the small venues. Like every venue is just closed, so you can't play. So
in America, the venues are open. Small venues are open, but you can't do music. You can only do comedy because it's not singing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's been nice to get back on stage, but yeah, music hasn't started back up.
Yeah. So but that made me that resulted in the fact that we now have music available on all different kind of different platforms, but we can't play live. We can't, and we haven't played live. Like and I don't know, I don't even know if we're good at it. I mean,
Have
who
you been?
knows?
Can you tell where your listeners are from? Like, do you have a more Dutch-based audience, or is your music now, because it is an American sound, do you have more listeners over here?
Well, it's crazy if you there's now there's these apps, Spotify for artists and Apple Music for artists, and you can just almost real time follow your streams and follow where people come from. And Spotify mostly is my listeners are from Holland, but on Apple Music, a lot of them are from the States, and there's a lot of like the Apple Music really picked up the latest single, New York Time. They featured it in some real big playlists. But from Spotify, like from the Dutch edition or the Dutch how do you call it? Dutch version, or you don't call it version, the Dutch section.
Yeah, Dutch. Yeah. Dutch, yeah, Dutch section.
The Dutch section of Spotify, we get some response, but not a lot. So it's crazy that it really picked up on Apple Music, but yeah, and a little bit less on Spotify, and also so now there are more listeners in the States than in my home country. That's a bit crazy. But I mean, I can't play anywhere, so I can't work on this. I can't build up a base. It's all the only thing I can do is online stuff, which I sort of hate.
Everybody love everybody.
Yeah,
Instagram shit, and yeah.
But yeah, I agree. So you said you make music for yourself, which is that's what I do too, and I think it comes through in your music. But did you think like, oh, I want to be an artist that makes it in America with the music that you make, or were you just putting it out there and whatever happens?
I'm not in a phase where the rapper is the rapper that you spoke to 2 weeks ago. He was dreaming big, right? He wanted to be the next Kanye West and stuff like that. No, I'm more how do you call it? I realized that stuff like that is not gonna happen to a lot of people, and
you're more realistic.
Although I wish him well, I mean, and it's good to dream big because then you put in a lot of effort, but chances are so small. And I'm not aiming for that at all. Maybe I used to aim for it, but no. I mean, then I should make totally different music. It would be great. Like the only how do you call it? The only thing I really want to achieve is really make a living out of it. I mean, money, like making a living out of music, especially in Holland, is so tough. So if I could just achieve that, I would. If I could just continue making stuff and not do all these crazy jobs just to earn money to be able to do this, that would be great.
That's the goal.
I did so many crazy jobs. I had so many crazy jobs just
what have you
to be
done?
able to do this.
What's the craziest job you've worked?
What's the craziest job I did? I worked in I worked in a cheese factory once, very typical Dutch, for one day behind what's it called? A thing that like
Oh,
a treadmill, behind the treadmill.
yeah, I know what
like
you're
that?
talking about. The conveyor belt.
Conveyor belt. That's the word I'm looking for. Behind the conveyor belt, I was getting. I mean, I was sick after 10 minutes because I'm car sick. So I was sick after 10 minutes. I had to do a whole day, and then after one day, I just quit.
One day at the
I made
cheese factory.
Yeah, one day at the cheese factory. Yeah. So yeah, there's so many side jobs that I had to do. I mean, what a sacrifice. Holy shit. Thinking about it, yeah, but I'm glad I did it. So.
You said that the album's finished, or are you still working? When is it going to be put out?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Yeah, it's the 27th of November.
Have you? Is this your first like project that you are putting out on a mass scale?
Yeah. Before it was just I released some stuff on Bandcamp, and but it was all these were all these former projects, and I mean it wasn't even mastered at all. I guess it was mixed by myself, and it was just, and always I liked it because I like the chaos of it sometimes. But I mean, I didn't know how to mix, so it was just basses were far too loud and the highs were far too loud, and I don't know, I just fucked up. So and it was, I mean, the overall quality wasn't that good. So
Everybody
I'm
love
glad it's not
everybody.
retrievable anymore.
Are you ready for this to come out, or are you still nervous about it? Or
No, I'm ready for it. I mean, it's not a. It also it's. I mean, what is it nowadays? Releasing an album. It's. I can't do a show, so it's. You can't really have a party to celebrate it because you can't invite friends. So it's just from one day to the next. Boom! 12 o'clock, your album is released, and then you just have to, like, be a nerd on your computer all the time and watch the stats and try to hope that it gets picked up. So it's and email blogs and stuff like that. But it's not a celebration or something. Not anymore.
it's good.
I can celebrate with a drummer.
Yeah, you can have a party with your drummer. That's
Yeah. That's
but it
same household.
it seems like you're pretty it's nothing to you, but if this is that how you think the mentality should be, that if nothing happens then it's just another day, but if it gets picked up then great, like that's a win?
No, I mean, I really want it to be picked up. I really hope that it's gonna build on the so-called success of these first singles. So, I mean, and success is so relative, but yeah, I really hope it just keeps building and building, and that it has a little bit of resonance. Yeah. So it's not. I'm not careless or something. It's not that I think, okay, I made something that I myself really like, and then I don't give a fuck about what anybody else says. No, that's not it. I'm really interested in hearing other people's opinions, knowing that it doesn't really matter what they say. It's not going to change my what I made, but I just hope that there are a lot of people that have the same sort of taste as I am that like it as well. So to make my life easier and to be able to grow into this musical or a musician that I always wanted to be. Yeah, that would be great.
You said your next album you want your accent come through. Have you been working on, or do you take a break after you put a project together? Do you take a break after you finish your album, or did you go back to writing and creating more music?
Well, the album is recorded like almost a year ago, so I had the chance to write other stuff, but actually I'm busy building. I'm sort of like I said, we're moving to another city, so, and I'm also, because of the COVID thing, and the fact that that I had more time and we couldn't play, I started building or expanding my house, expanding the house that we bought. So I was just busy with that. So in the meantime, I made some music, but I didn't make a lot, which is also sometimes very nice to just do a step back, like inspire yourself, grow on a different level, and then it's crazy, but I really notice it when I was a drummer. If you sometimes you just do your paradiddles, you do your all your technical stuff, and you notice that you can't really grow anymore, or you're hitting a sort of ceiling. And the only thing you can do then is step back and do something else. And then you notice that when you come back, suddenly you're able to do things you couldn't do before, because it's just your muscles are relaxed. You're in a different, you grew as a person. You're maybe not as stressed anymore. You're not as focused on crazy technical stuff. You're just more at ease. And I think it's with the creative part of music making the same. You just sometimes you have to step back, and or maybe I'm just making an excuse for it.
No, I think that's
not
true.
making music.
You said that when you came back from your trip, you were inspired, and that music and that inspiration then created at least a base level of success for you to build off of.
Yeah.
And I feel that way even with COVID. Before my stand-up, I was very stagnant on comedy. And since coming back, I've grown and been able to grow and be better at it, I think, comedically. So I feel like the breaks sometimes are necessary, because you can take a look at your whole life and notice other things to draw from.
Yeah.
Do you like, or is that, you said you recorded this album over a year ago. Something I like about stand-up is how it's immediate. Like the audience is right there. You get the immediate reaction. Does it like feel weird sitting on that for so long, or at this point are you like, it comes out?
It's crazy that I mean, it's crazy that it has been a year, but I never knew it would take so long. But there are so much things you have to do. I mean, for example, you have to, like the album art, like the art that you put on the front, and then you have to have a cover art. You have to have the back side. You have to have so much stuff that takes time, and if you wanna, we're gonna press it on vinyl, put it on vinyl, and then that takes 3 months. Never knew it took 3 months, but it takes 3 months. So that adds another 3 months. So all in all, it just added, and then suddenly I'm here a year later, and
it's about to come out.
It's about to come out, yeah. But I'm sort of, I'm okay with it. I mean, it doesn't really, in the scale of things, what does it matter if it comes out a month later? I mean, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna die.
And that's kind of how you have to be, so you don't get disappointed, and then all the successes come.
Wow, yeah. I mean, if that's a formula, I'm in. I'm just gonna step back and relax and just. But sometimes, yeah, I mean, sometimes you need the stress, and you need the how do you call it in English? You need the persistence, the stubbornness and the work ethic to just achieve something, and that's really essential sometimes. But sometimes you just, I mean, if you can't do anything about it, I couldn't speed up the process anymore. So
Yeah.
if you can't do anything about it, just let it be.
Well, I mean, I saw one of your songs on a random playlist on Apple Music, and then I liked it so much that I went out and I found your other stuff, and now we're here. I'm talking to you, and this episode will actually probably come out the same week that your album comes out. So I'm going to make sure to promote it.
Perfect.
And I send your music to all my friends that will listen to it. And I really appreciate you being on. Thank you so much for talking.
Thank you for having me. It was really nice.
Do you want to plug any of your stuff, your social media, where to find your music? I'll put your social media at the bottom of the screen so people can find you.
But it's just maybe people need to know the spelling is just Juan, and then again Juan. But I mean, America is almost a Spanish country right now. Right?
Yeah, well, everyone.
I landed.
Everyone can find that.
Yeah, I landed in Florida, I guess. And I wanted to ask something in English to some employer at the airport, and they just couldn't respond in English to me. So it was all Spanish. I was so amazed by it. But
yeah, that's the South is a lot like that.
Yeah. So Juan Juan, yeah. But yeah, you can just find it anywhere, and Instagram it's Juan Juan official, I guess, but I'm not quite sure. I think that's it.
All right, we'll tag you in it, and I will promote your stuff. Thank you so much for being on. I can't wait to hear the album and hear what else you have coming. And if you ever end up in New York and Boston, hopefully we can meet up in person.
Yeah, it would be really cool. If you're ever in Amsterdam, just or in Almere, the next my new town, just call me, and then we'll
Your new town. I was supposed to be in Amsterdam this summer before.
No, really?
Yeah, I have a couple friends, or I have a friend from Croatia, Zvonimir, and we're shout out future guest Zvonimir, and we were going to meet in Amsterdam, but it got called off because of all this stuff.
Ah, shit. That's a pity. Yeah, that's a pity. But
I'll be there someday.
Come back another time.
Exactly. Well, thank you very much, everyone who's listened. Please like, subscribe, and we'll see you with a new episode next Thursday. Thank you.